particularly here like Cape Coral, other parts of Southwest Florida, I mean, like the whole country wants to be here. And so, and just to be clear, like, you know, some governors are out just begging people to move to their state. Like, I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm happy with who we have here. You know, I'm happy with what we have, but I think the reality was you're looking at living in some of these other parts of the country, you know, where they had lockdown policies infinitum. They were denying kids the ability to be in school in person. Those that did allow the schools to be in person, yeah, it's yes, there we go. And then those that did, you know, they wanted to force these kids to be in mass for 8 hours a day. You have places that wanted to fire people from their jobs if they didn't get a COVID vax. Obviously, you have very bad tax and economic policies in a lot of these parts of the country. You had crime not only going through the roof, but really being facilitated by a lot of these idiot politicians. You have places where they literally will not prosecute you. In like San Francisco, you can steal $999 worth of stuff, and they won't prosecute you unless it's $1,000. And so people loot the stores. You see all the homeless, all the crime. You see bail policies where they'll put people right back on the street, very soft on crime. And so that creates a huge problem because people don't feel safe in their own communities. And so there's been a lot of reasons why people are like, you know what? Florida's the beachhead, and they want to come. And so if you're somebody that's owned a home for a long time in Florida, it's a lot more valuable today, you know, than it was a few years ago because there's a demand and people want to do it. So I know people have done well with selling. The problem is you sell. Where do you go? I mean, you still have to do. So that's why a lot of people don't do it. So there's a lot of demand, and I think in terms of housing in particular, you know, some of it's the inflation, some of it's Biden. If you look at how much it costs to build homes now, look at each individual input and compare it to 2 years ago. Some of these things have gone up 100% in terms of the materials, and so that's going to have an impact. I mean, you know, there's different parts of the state you would look at, and they'd have like a sign for a new community somewhere, and it'd be like starting at $249.99. Well, then that's an X on that, and now it's like $319 or something, and that's mostly some of its demand, but a lot of that is the cost of everything. So it creates challenges. So we want to make sure that, particularly if you look at what we've done since I've been governor, we have worked harder than anybody to support the people in our communities that support us. And so that means the people that wear the uniform, our police officers, our firefighters. This 2021-22 budget, our current year, you had other places that were taking funding away from law enforcement. We did $1,000 bonuses for every sworn law enforcement and fire in the state of Florida. We also have done a lot to support education in Florida, including, I mean, you know, we've done education choice, we've done civics, we've done vocational and technical education, we've done early literacy, a whole bunch of really good stuff. But one of the things we've done is we've done more to increase teacher pay than any governor has ever done in Florida. We've done over $2 billion in increases just in the last 2.5 years. And so that's important to be able to attract good people into the profession. And so if you look at and then what we did during COVID to support our frontline healthcare workers, you know, we did as much as anybody. And then when some of the nurses were being threatened with losing their job over mandates, we called a special session of the legislature to protect the jobs because people should not have to choose between getting a COVID jab and putting food on the table. So we made sure in Florida we were doing it. And we saved a lot of jobs with law enforcement, too. I mean, you know, they may not have done those mandates here in Lee County, but there's other places in Florida where they may have done it. They tried to do firefighters in places like Gainesville and Orange County, and we were able to save those jobs. And so we're very, very happy about that. But if you look at the communities are growing, that's great, but you need to have these folks as important parts of the community. You got to have people who are willing to wear the uniform for police, fire. You got to have good teachers. You got to have good nurses. All these things are just vital. And so what we're going to do today is really make a good announcement, because the thing is if they want to recruit a police officer to work, say, for Cape Coral Police Department, it really matters if they can afford to have a home here and live in the community and shop in the same stores and go to groceries and see everybody, than if you have to commute from like far away just because you're 45 minutes away maybe is where you can find a home that's affordable for you. So we want to make sure that those frontline workers, people we consider to be hometown heroes, are able to not only work and serve the community, but do so where they're able to afford things like buying their first home. And so what we're going to be doing today is announcing that we are launching a Hometown Heroes initiative in the state of Florida to help these folks achieve home ownership. This is a $100 million program that will provide down payment and closing cost assistance to more than 50 different professions when buying their first home. So that will include all sworn law enforcement officers in the state of Florida, all paramedics, all firefighters, all EMTs, all 911 operators, our correctional operators, probation, juvenile detention officers, our teachers, our child care operators and daycare instructors, and of course our registered nurses and other home health aides and healthcare practitioners. And so if you're somebody that is here serving our community in those vital roles, you now have the ability through our Hometown Heroes program to get assistance to be able to purchase that first home. Now, to honor those who've served and sacrificed for our country, the following will qualify for this program whether they're first-time home buyers or not. All military veterans, all active duty service members who are moving to the state of Florida, and all surviving spouses of deceased veterans. And so if you need assistance, you will be there as well. And if you think about what we're doing in terms of helping with affordability, this is part of it. The bonuses are a big part of it. The salary increases are a big part of it for teachers. We didn't need to do it for Lee County per se, but we have a lot of rural counties, and so in this year's budget we did a huge amount of money to increase salary for these rural deputies because it's harder to recruit, and so we're doing that. We've also done our retention and recruitment program in Florida, where if they have an opening, how many openings do you have, and do you have openings right now?
We got a waiting list, Governor.
Oh, you got a waiting list?
Waiting list.
Okay. Do you guys have openings?
We are getting more people. We're growing.
So you're fine. Okay.
Well.
Yeah. Some people, so they have a waiting list. That used to be for pretty much any sheriff's department. It'd be very difficult to get these jobs. And over the years, you had more and more that had availability and didn't necessarily have all the flood of applications. But I think what we've done is really help change the narrative in Florida, because we've supported the people wearing the uniform. But what we've said in the bill I signed a couple months ago, if you're working in these other places that are treating these people horribly who wear the uniform, they get no support, very low morale. And if you leave from like Seattle and you come to Cape Coral or to Lee County Sheriff, you get a $5,000 signing bonus right at the top. And so that's going to really send a signal that this is the place to be for safe communities. And I think you've seen a big uptick in interest. I think people want to be here. Part of it, it's a great place to live and everything, but they do know they're going to get the support. And I think if you look about how they were treated over the last many years, but particularly summer of 2020, they're out there. I mean, first of all, you have all these protests against the police. They're saying to defund the police. But that was when people were yelling at you if you wanted to leave your house back then. And then all these public health people were like, no. You're not allowed to go to the beach. You're not allowed to go protest lockdowns, but you can protest the police. That was when you knew all this was such a fraud. I'm sorry, like how these people are. They're partisans.